Ivan the Terrible. The nickname alone gives you goosebumps. Yes, yes. Nicknames. He didn't have a last name at all. That used to be the norm. His personality left many secrets and mysteries in our world. One of them is his library. The Library of Ivan the Terrible, or as history buffs call it, Liberia. For many centuries, scientists have been trying to find it day after day. How so? How could it disappear from the face of the earth? Every single one of them is perplexed, but I managed to dig up something for you. Are you ready? Then let's go. The legendary library of Ivan the Terrible has been sought for several centuries by historians, archaeologists, and just treasure hunters. What is it famous for? What secrets does it hide? Where did it come from, and where could it have gone? Let's conduct a small investigation and try to understand one of the biggest and most unusual mysteries of Russian history. It turns out that Ivan the Terrible's library was named after him not because he collected it, but because he was its last owner. In fact, the valuable archive was collected and belonged to the Byzantine emperors. According to legend, the Byzantines had been collecting this library for many centuries, since the times of ancient Rome. The most valuable books were included in the dowry of the last of the line of Emperor Constantine XI, Zoe Palaeologus, we know her as Sophia Palaeologus, who was Ivan the Terrible's grandmother. In 1470, a severe fire broke out in Moscow. The city almost completely burned down. Sophia decided to hide the library in the basement of the Church of the Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary in the Kremlin. But 3 years later, another fire broke out, and not only all of Moscow burned down, but also the Kremlin. Fortunately, the valuable volumes were intact. To protect the library from fires, a special stone bunker was built under the Kremlin, which only the royal family and their close servants could enter. Mysterious disappearance. The library was constantly replenished. Ivan the Terrible's people traveled around the world and brought back rare and ancient books. The rulers of other countries knew that the Russian Tsar was a passionate book lover and presented him with ancient manuscripts and documents as gifts. That is, some of the books are the legacy of the Byzantine emperors, and the other part are books collected in many other countries. After the Tsar took Kazan, the library was replenished with ancient Arabic and Eastern books. Since all the books were in foreign languages, a huge amount of work was done to translate them. Translators were invited, among whom was the famous theologian and philologist Reverend Maximus the Greek, canonized by the Orthodox Church, as well as the Protestant pastor Johann Vettermann. They testified that the library really did exist. The pastor wrote in the Livonian Chronicle that the books, like precious treasures, were kept in 2 huge cellars. There is a list of what was really kept in the library of Ivan the Terrible, compiled by the same Johann Vettermann on the orders of the Tsar himself. In the 70s of the 16th century, Ivan the Terrible waged war with the Crimean Khan. The Tatars came close to Moscow, and only 50 miles from its walls, the legendary Battle of Molody took place. Fearing for his Liberia, as the library was called at that time, Ivan the Terrible hid it, so much so that to this day it is considered lost. After the death of the Tsar, the time of troubles began. Everyone who knew where the library was perished. Boris Godunov, Peter the Great, and even Napoleon during the conquest of Moscow tried to look for the mysterious Liberia. That is, the library existed, and it was quite rich. What did Liberia hide? Ivan the Terrible understood perfectly well that his family was being destroyed. A change of dynasty was being prepared. He knew who was behind it and where it all came from. The Tsar wanted to preserve Liberia for posterity. He was not just a ruler, but a very intelligent man, a philosopher. Now, there are many myths about him. Supposedly, he was a bloody dictator, a cruel beast. In fact, all this is mostly fairy tales and speculation. The people loved him. Ivan the Terrible walked freely around Moscow. Sometimes he did not even have security. He did not want the Russian people to be enslaved, as Western advisors demanded, whispering advice to him to turn people into serfs. Ivan the Terrible loved to read. He was an educated man and was primarily interested in ancient history, as well as the forgotten knowledge of our distant ancestors, representatives of civilizations that have already disappeared. But all this knowledge was once written down, but was lost in time. Many ancient manuscripts, scrolls, and books are now stored in the secret archives of the Vatican. They are closed to ordinary people. Something similar was collected in the library of Ivan the Terrible. There is information that there were manuscripts from the long-lost Library of Alexandria. According to the translators, their hair stood on end when they comprehended the real truth about the creation of the world. Everything is not as we think. Books from the library of Ivan the Terrible destroy all the biblical dogmas on which our entire worldview is built. In Liberia, priceless occult books were collected, as well as the records of prophets and soothsayers who knew the future for thousands of years to come. Books on alchemy and other secret sciences, as well as ancient scrolls that described in detail what happened on Earth long before the appearance of man. Books about the civilizations of the past, about the heavenly gods who brought with them knowledge from other planets. In the first years of his reign, Ivan the Terrible spent long periods of time in the library and studied folios. He delved into occult rituals, carefully studied Kabbalah, and mastered the secrets of black and white magic. By the way, the library contained not only valuable volumes, but also ancient artifacts, as well as mechanical structures created by inventors of those times. Ivan the Terrible understood perfectly well what value Liberia had for future generations, but he also knew how dangerous this knowledge was, especially for his contemporaries. This is probably why he hid the library. Liberia had a lot of Vedic literature that kept the secrets of our distant ancestors, and Ivan the Terrible made a lot of efforts to ensure that this knowledge did not fall into the hands of enemies. Where to look for the library? There are many versions, about 60, of where it may be located. One of them says that Liberia never left the Kremlin. It is possible that it is still in its dungeons. Other hypotheses speak of places located close to Moscow, where the Great Tsar often and for long periods of time visited. The search for mysterious artifacts began several decades after the death of Ivan the Terrible. At the beginning of the 17th century, a secret mission of Vatican Jesuits penetrated the Russian capital, but did not find the book treasure. In the 1720s, the hunt for books began at the official level by order of the Senate, but it was also unsuccessful. Then there were attempts in the 19th and 20th centuries. More than 20 years ago, businessman German Sterligov took up the search for the treasures that disappeared at the end of the 16th century. In 1995, he headed the headquarters for the search for Ivan the Terrible's library. By the 850th anniversary of Moscow, Liberia itself could not be found, but enthusiasts were quite capable of developing a strategic plan. It soon became clear that there was no library in the Kremlin, for at least 400 years. The clerk Makary confused everyone, says German Sterligov. He told everyone during confession about the Kremlin's secret place with chests, and everyone immediately rushed to look for it, thinking that the chests contained a library. But it couldn't have been there. Why? Because Liberia was not hidden behind a door with a window. Aristotle Fioravanti built the repository for manuscripts using his own method, and to get there you had to break through the vault. This is clearly written in the chronicles. The absence of mysterious manuscripts in the Kremlin is no longer a secret. If there had been at least one book there, it would have been found long ago. But if Ivan the Terrible hid the library not in the Kremlin, then where? The headquarters for searching for Ivan the Terrible's Liberia also conducted research in the Alexandrovskaya Sloboda, as the city of Alexandrov was previously called. The Tsar lived here for quite a long time. There is written evidence that he took relics and the treasury with him, and some historians even believe that the German translators, led by Pastor Wettermann, saw the manuscripts in 1565 not in the Kremlin, but in the Alexander caches. It was here that Wettermann begged Ivan the Terrible to give him a book from the library for one night, promising to leave all his children as collateral. The headquarters was lucky. Today, on the site of the Tsar's residence, there is a football field, and it is possible to find out what is underground using special technologies and equipment. Unfortunately, the library itself was not in the void. The devices stubbornly refused to respond to any of the set parameters. Research of the monastery territories also did not yield any results. This means that, alas, Liberia does not exist in Alexandrov. But there is another problem that cannot but worry all those who know the history of the mysterious library and dream of opening it for posterity. This refers to the safety of the library. Just think about it. The books that are still stored somewhere underground are not 200 or 300 or even 500 years old. Their age is measured in millennia. Even for the times of Ivan the Terrible, they were very, very old. But experts are sure Liberia, if it is in a hiding place built according to the method of Aristotle Fioravanti, is in fairly good condition. Most likely, Fioravanti knew the secret of storing manuscripts known to the ancient Egyptians. It is possible that a significant part of the collection consists of books from the famous Alexandria Library, and they have already lain in similar storage facilities for thousands of years. The years only increase the value of Liberia. However, it has long been impossible to measure it in money. First of all, excavations were organized in the Kremlin. Particular attention was paid to the Arsenal Tower, which had many unexplored corridors and voids. No priceless manuscripts were found there, but a secret passage to the arsenal was discovered. Another version of the location of the books is the Kolomenskoye estate, on the territory of the Diakovo Church. Archaeological research was also carried out there, and also unsuccessfully. The next possible version is the Alexandrovskaya Sloboda. This is where Ivan the Terrible liked to retire during the Oprichnina. Enthusiasts also pointed to Vologda, where the Tsar lived for some time. Allegedly, inside the Cathedral Hill, located near the St. Sophia Cathedral, there are branched caves separated by locked metal doors. Archaeologists have conducted excavations here as well, but have not found any dungeons or manuscripts. Conclusion: it is quite possible that the library is simply biding its time, and one day Liberia will be resurrected,